I am doing absolutely. Yep, I just started. Okay. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really good, busy, but you know what? Living in Southern California, if you complain, you need to have your ace kicked.
Yeah, no, no doubt. No doubt. Thank you so much for making time to come on the show today. I really
Well,
appreciate
I've
it.
been listening to some of your podcasts and it's so varied. And I thought, you know what? I want to get in that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's kind of all over the place. I like to talk to different people though, and I like to cover a wide range of subjects and just really kind of talk to people and their life experiences, kind of where they've been, where they're going, and that's what I love about the whole thing, the whole aspect of it. You know.
Well, I like the variety because if you just get on one lane, that's like driving one freeway every day, all day long. Pretty soon it gets a little boring.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like you kind of get people from different walks of life and challenges your thinking. That one lady, I forgot her name, that wrote that book, that sent you that book that was that thick on what was it? It was on some kind of space, atoms, and boy, she blew me over.
The astrologer.
Yes,
Yeah, Jessica Lanyadoo.
there you go.
Yeah, she was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed talking to her. That was one of my favorite episodes. I think it was just an overall really good conversation. Um
Oh,
yeah, yeah, it's great. So thank you for coming on today. I was reading about you a little bit and your profile, and your story fascinates me. Your adventurism, your exploration,
I'm out there. I'm out there.
yeah, for sure. Is it true you've really logged over 5,000 miles on foot?
Actually, over 5,000 on foot.
No.
I started. I started in Western North Carolina. That's where I don't know. It's not a gene, but the desire to explore and be in nature. And I just found there's a convergence of the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Great Smoky Mountains in the western part of North Carolina, and there is so much botany, zoology. There's plants, there's animals, there's a lot of rain, and as a child, I just started exploring, and I learned to trust myself, and so I've done Mount Fuji and Japan and
That's absolutely amazing. That's wild.
well, and what's interesting is a lot of people, when they talk to me or ask me for advice, they're talking like it's a walk in the park. And I go, you need to train for the altitude. I mean, some people haven't been over 4,000 feet. Okay. 10,000 is much different than 4,000. And what you find there, that's what fascinates me, is what I find there is so much different. The plants are different, the soil is different, the animals are different, the breathing, it's like somebody's got a foot in your chest. But if you train for it, absolutely, absolutely.
So
I just love exploring.
so from a very young age, you just kind of knew that you're like, I'm gonna be an explorer. I'm gonna, just travel the world and see what there is to see. And really, it sounds like you've kind of rediscovered life in a new aspect by doing so, trusting yourself and the nature and like, that's really fascinating to me. That's great.
I think a lot of times that child might have that fascination, but because of the fears of the parents or whatever. I mean, you got to be smart about it, right?
Right.
But my parents were generous enough to me. I mean, they taught me. My dad would take me hunting with him when I was like 6 years old, and they taught me. But I have a respect for nature, and but I just wanted to explore. And what I found was like I couldn't find that anywhere else. Like in Death Valley, I was a guide in Death Valley for a while, and people would come through Death Valley and they say, oh, this looks like, you know, the planet of the apes. There's nothing living, it's dead. And all of a sudden in April, here's flowers blooming that have roots that they're so deep that they hold their water content, and it just comes alive. And it's like, you can't get that anywhere else.
Wow. Now, pardon me for not knowing, but where is Death Valley? Is that
Oh,
out
that's
west, or is that?
I can talk forever about that. Death Valley is in California, and it's part of the Mojave Desert area. So north of Los Angeles, a little bit east. So I'd say within an hour and a half to 2 hours from LA, you're in a very arid area that gets about maybe 2 inches of rainfall a year.
Wow.
And
Really?
that's a maybe,
Wow.
because I've been there when it was almost less than an inch. Yes.
So not much going on there. Not much wildlife or anything. I can imagine.
You would think, Kenny, but no, there's a lot going on. And the early pioneers that came across looking for gold, and there was some there, but not as much as they thought. I mean, they survived that. They learned to adapt to that. Now, it's not for everyone, but there's old mines that are still there.
Really?
There's some, oh yeah, and there's some characters. Now, if you want to meet some characters to talk to you about UFOs, and I mean, there are some characters because they live out there.
Right.
And they don't have a lot of influence of other things, you know. They live on the land, so to speak.
Really? That's
Yes,
absolutely fascinating. So you were a tour guide for Death Valley?
I
Really?
was. So there's points I got to know the Native American. There is a tribe that lives in Death Valley, very small, very small. And I got to know them and got to know some of these old miners. And I'd say, okay, you know, where should I go and explore? I mean, if I want to go to the top, would be Telescope Peak, which is like 11,000 feet.
Wow.
But when you get to Telescope Peak, I got to tell you this. If you're on Telescope Peak and you're looking east, I think it's east, yeah, you can see the highest point in the United States, which is Mount Whitney.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you get a different perspective. Let's put it that way. You get a different perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what fascinates me and keeps me. If you want to backpack and go on a hike, all you have to do is say when, and I'm there.
That's awesome. So you've been out of the States as well. Then you've been to South America. Is that right?
Lots in South America. I did Machu Picchu. I got a story about Machu Picchu, which is a trip.
I want to hear it. Let's hear it.
Well, the thing about it is I took a train, and I got off the train near the trail because there's different parts where you can start the trail. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that the stones were really close together on the trail. You know, I mean, normally, like if you go to the Sierras, if you go to Mount Whitney, okay, you've got rocks and scree, and you're going up and up and up and up. It starts at Whitney Portals, I think, is 7,000 feet. So it starts at 7,000 and goes to 14,000 plus. But they were so close together, and I didn't get it at first. I just thought, wow, I'm kind of a tall gal. I'm 5'7", and I met some people on the trail, and it says because the Sherpas, they run these trails. They're not, you know, out hiking. They run these trails, and they have very short legs. They're shorter in height. And so those stones are for them to be able to take messages. I mean, before, we had other kinds of communication. And I said, well, I think I can do 2 steps at a time. So I've been to Machu Picchu. I did Patagonia in Chile.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a wow.
That would be cool. Wow.
That was a wow.
Now, how long were you out? Would you camp up there and just like, would you make it? How long was the trip? Like, was it a lot of, did you go with a team or were you solo by yourself? Was it a solo adventure?
That particular one was solo. I did meet a guy getting my supplies. And I can camp on the trail and keep going. Like if you go to the Pacific Crest Trail or the Appalachian Trail, which I've done legs of. But you usually meet a few people. And I'd love to travel with people and hike, but not a lot of people want to do that kind of thing. So I do day trips. The
Right.
longest distance that I've done in one day, well, it was a little over 18 hours or so, was 20 miles. But 6 or 7 miles a day is perfect for me.
Right. That's a lot. I think, you know what I mean? In my opinion, that's a lot, It ain't like 7 miles on the road. It trails and up and down, I'm sure. And, it's a physical feat, so that's wild. So do you ever get like nervous so that like different like animals and reptiles and things like that are gonna pop out on the trail at you, or
That's happened.
has it?
That's happened. Matter of fact, 2 weeks ago it happened. I was in the Santa Lucia Mountains, which is in California, Central California, and I wasn't up that high, actually, and I wasn't alone that day. I was with my son, and I'm hiking up, and here comes a guy down, and he goes, "Are you going to the top?" And I said, "Well, I plan on it, yeah." He said, "Well, there's a mountain lion up there."
No kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And so, but that's not my first encounter. I saw not a lot, because they're really solitary. They want to be away from people.
Right.
And but I've seen some in the Eastern Sierras. And he said, but I mean, the minute he saw me, he turned around and
Booked it.
split.
Right.
And I go, well, that's good.
Yeah, for sure. So when you're out on the trail, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No.
I want to ask you about your wildflower photography.
Yes.
Yeah, I really want to talk to you about that and have you kind of go into that a little bit. You wrote a book about that?
I did write a book, Botanical Reflections. I wrote a book.
Look at that. I love it.
Yeah, impressive.
Heck yeah.
And the reason why that I did that is because when I would go on these hikes and bring back the flower photographs and post them on Instagram or my website, people would say, "What is that? And where did you get it? We've never seen anything like that." And I go, well, it's because you've got to be above 9,000 feet. If now Colorado, people in Colorado and the state of Washington and those places, yeah, they got it. But if you live around 2 to 3 or 4,000 feet, you're not going to see the same kind of flowers. So I decided to make a sketch of all these unique wildflowers, and I put it in my book, and then I use it as a journal. So I'll show you just one.
Oh, wow.
So I sketch it. So it's a nature journal. And then on this side is a question like, how can you help others in your family, community, or work? And then you journal.
I love that. That's so cool. That is so cool.
It's kind of a self-care, you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
and I've had a lot of people, and then I usually have a quote at the bottom. This one says, being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage.
I love that. That's so awesome. That's so cool.
Yes.
That is so
So
cool.
I've a lot of people during COVID time, I got to tell you, they're using this because they got a lot of frustrations and there's a lot of
Sure.
stress, even some people going back to work that's been home working. It's like, it's going to be different. I don't, it's every state is different, but we're in California. We're easing into it. We're just not opening up and saying, take off your mask
Right.
and go to big events.
Right.
And our emotions or depression or ooh, we have to juggle that emotional stuff so that we can have a good life, a productive life, and get back to work or seeing our grandkids or whatever.
For sure. I live here in Pennsylvania, and I don't agree with everything that's been rolled out and how it's whatever, and that's a discussion for another day. But you're absolutely right. The mental stress that we've been feeling because of everything, no matter what you believe in, it takes its toll on you. And you have to find a way to decompress. You have to find a way to really kind of get back in touch with nature and your higher self. In my
That's right.
opinion, and I think that's great that you have put together that book, and that kind of helps people, because journaling, I think, is a very good way to discover things inside yourself and kind of help you reflect and focus on what's really important, and that's the connecting with nature and healing, and
Well,
keeping
one
your
thing that I think journaling can do for you is it can let you express yourself, and nobody needs to know if you need if you need to really get something that's really bothering you. I mean, journaling is a good way to do it. And i I learned this. I didn't learn this when I was doing what Mount Fujisan, but there's something called forest bathing for the senses, and it's they did a Japanese study where they would go by a creek bed or a park or go in their backyard, and they would use their five senses to just get their mind to feel a breeze on their face or hear a mockingbird or, uh, you know, touch a leaf of a plant, and just use the five senses to just have some decompression time.
Absolutely, and those things, like because I view everything as having a vibration, and a frequency. And I was thinking about this earlier, with and I was going to try to figure out how to tie it into a question, but the different smells, like the flowers, I'm sure that you would smell or see, even visually looking at them above 9,000 feet. um you know I think those aromas and things like that open our third eye, like they connect us to the earth. And when you travel around like that and you experience these different things in nature, I feel like you're more grounded. You're going to be more, and I wasn't sure how to tie that into a question at all or anything, but I was just thinking about it. I'm like, it's really fascinating, some of the pictures that you have of these flowers, and I wonder what they smell like, and what kind of senses you feel when you smell those, and how it calms you and relaxes you.
Absolutely. And the vibration thing, I just finished a course with Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Okay, yeah.
And he started a 4-month course, and he talks a lot about the vibrations, about everything having a vibration, and like the trees and the leaves. And I mean, when I'm hiking, I hear sounds that I mean, it's not car horns and it's not freeway traffic, you know, and I just want to stop and just take it in just for a minute to receive that. And it also gives me a chance to take a breath too, because, you know, hiking is my love and my passion, but you got to train for it. I did rim to the rim of the Grand Canyon, and there was a girl and her father coming down, and she had on flip-flops.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
And one 8-ounce water. And I offered her some water because I had one of those pins that you can sterilize your water in. And she says, oh no, 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 I don't need it. And I just thought, I never saw her after that. I passed her and I never
Oh
saw her.
no. Oh no.
Well, hopefully what we hope is she turned around and went back, because, you know, you have to prepare. You have to have good shoes,
Mhm.
comfortable shoes, and water. I mean, that's
definitely- yeah,
essential.
that's the essential beginnings. Yeah, for
Yes,
sure.
yes,
Yep.
yes. And, you know, I think that as we come out of this isolationism or whatever we're doing, I think people are really seeking that connection. I think it was John Muir. I used to have one of his quotes that says, you can't go into the woods and not come away then with more than you were looking for.
Absolutely.
And that's it. That's it. He's my kind of hero when it comes to hiking and photographing, like in Yosemite. And so the book was, the byline here is saying, capture your days in words and pictures. So I'm trying to get people to express what they're feeling or what they want to talk about, or maybe a goal, and then maybe try some creativity. Some people aren't very creative, so I just sketch those flowers right there on the trail and let them.
Really, they're all hand sketched, and all the ones.
Oh, every single one.
That's awesome.
Every
Cool.
single one.
Now, does it tell underneath the sketch what kind of flower it is in the description of, or?
I didn't do that. You know, I thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought of that, but then I thought, then I thought about putting a little thumbnail by it, and I thought, no, I want people to come up with the design and just not copy it. It's okay to color outside the lines.
Right. For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. I like to take pictures of different flowers we have around here. You know, I can't remember the names of them, to be honest with you, but you know, I love to just go out in nature. I live right up by Lake Erie in Pennsylvania here along
Oh,
Lake Erie.
wow.
And so
you're in hiking country.
Absolutely. There's a lot of good spots around here. You know, I haven't traveled very far from home, but there's so much in just this area.
Oh,
Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, within, you know, a couple hours, that it can really keep you busy. And there's a lot of different you know, flowers and bugs and insects and things like that that are just all over the place. You know, I love it. And yeah, the
I
lake.
think you guys have a lot of snakes as well.
A few, not terrible where I'm at. Nothing that I have to really worry about being poisonous or anything like that, you know. Maybe up in New York a little bit, there's some copperheads, I think, and
Yes.
you know, I'm not sure if there's any rattles up there or not, but I've been very fortunate.
Maybe, I don't know. I know in North Carolina, where I grew up, there were water moccasins. Ooh, ooh.
Are those the snakes that are they're a water snake, right? And
Yes.
do they have like the yellow stripes on them? Because I just saw one of those yesterday in the on the local campus here. It was like 4 foot long too.
Wow, that's more mature.
It was like a grayish blue, I think, and it had like yellow stripes on its back.
Could very well be, but the one that I really pay attention to, and I've seen a lot of snakes on the trail,
Mhm.
so that doesn't bother me. But there's a Mojave green that is a deadly. The venom for the Mojave green they have in the hospitals in Southern and Central California, because the venom from a bite from them can kill you
No
within 2
kidding.
hours. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is there an antidote or something that you carry with you?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't carry it with me, mainly because they go the opposite direction. But some people, and don't ask me why, try to pick them up.
Huh.
Yeah.
Really?
They want to grab their tail and hold them up. And no,
Oh,
no, no.
see, I am not a snake guy at all. You know, I found a little baby gardener this spring in my backyard, just like this long. He was just a little guy. He spooked me because I was raking some leaves, and I looked down, and I started like my adrenaline started going. I picked him up by the tail, and I was holding him like as far as I could, shaking. You know, it was just like I said, just a little gardener snake. But there's no way I'd pick up a
No,
poisonous,
no.
snake.
Not
That's just,
smart, not smart. Let them
that's
be,
crazy.
because yeah, most animals that I've encountered, and I did encounter a bear standing on his hind feet in Canada.
Really?
Yeah. But he was, you know what he was doing? He was picking blueberries.
No kidding.
So he kind of looked over at me, and it's
That's
like, no, 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 no. This is so much better. And he just went back, and then he just ran, just took off.
Was
But
it
he didn't have a baby or anything.
was it a black bear or is it a
No, I don't think it, but black bears are fairly rare,
really?
aren't they? Yeah.
Up here,
Well,
that's all we have. They're black bears.
oh, that's right. The East Coast has more than
Yeah.
I think the West Coast. I'm not sure. There may be one of your listeners that may know more about that than I do. But yeah, he just took a look at me and he said,
Right.
"Oh, I've got a bush here and it's full of berries, and forget it." So
That's funny. So you've been to South America, you've been to Japan, right? And what was that like way up there? Was it just like, you know, what's the different, I don't know how to ask that question. Like, what's it like on Mount Fuji? I want to start with that one. Like,
well,
is the
every
culture, is it, what's the culture kind of like? Is there a lot of people that are fascinated with climbing Mount Fuji, or is it more of a, kind of a experience where you don't see much people at all?
boy, I'm looking for those now. I'm really looking for those now, because so many people, there's a thing between really, peak baggers, that's what they call them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that I am a peak bagger, but I've done a few.
What's a peak
Is
bagger? What's a
Well, it's there's 10 peaks in a certain part of Colorado. I think there's 14 peaks and 10 in California, and you try to hike each one,
I see.
and you don't have to do them in order. And usually there's an old ammo can that's at the top, and you sign it with a little book.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, it is cool. I've signed quite a few, and they're called peak baggers. But they have little huts at Mount Fuji-san, and every so many miles they have like a little hut that has tea, or I didn't see coffee, but I'm not a coffee drinker. And you can get your hiking stick, if it's wooden, you can get it branded as you go from place to place to place to place.
Neat.
That's different. That's different, because I did not. Now there's places where I got my passport stamped at Machu Picchu, at the very top of Machu Picchu, when I came through the Sun Gate and you looked out at Machu Picchu.
That's South America, right?
That's South America. Machu Picchu is in Peru,
Okay.
and near Agua Caliente is the closest small town near Machu Picchu. So you can, I got my passport stamp because I wanted some way to remember that.
For sure. Absolutely.
And
How
of
long
course, being a photographer, I took tons of pictures, but
right. Do you have like a photography page as well? Or is
no,
it?
I don't, but that's a great idea. I'm starting a blog.
Mhm.
My website is wildflowerinspirations.com. And I'm starting a blog on there probably mid-June. And what I'm going to do is take one of the rare flowers and I'm going to put where I found it in the trail and the elevation. And I'm going to have them from sea level. Well, I've got one from below sea level. Hello. There's a trail, Badwater Basin in Death Valley that's below sea level. And I think is it 600 feet below sea level?
Really?
And I found a desert 5 spot. And this flower, I thought somebody had left trash. And I was just getting ready to, fight them. Take your trash with you. And I went over and it's bright pink and it's cupped like a tulip. I think I have one in here that is a black and white. And it's got 5 spots and they're purple.
Really?
In the very center. This is a desert 5 spot.
Okay.
Below sea level, bright pink.
Which is that super uncommon, I'm assuming, right? That to find where would you normally find a flower like that at? That's
Arid places.
Really?
Very arid. Yeah. Yeah. Very arid. And they don't bloom every year. That's another interesting thing is that one, and I don't know if she was a botanist, but one lady told me that they only bloom like every 2 to 3 years because they don't get enough moisture.
Right. Interesting.
And every 2 to 3 years, here they go. And it's like, what are you doing here when it's bleak and
life will
no
find a way.
trees, no grass, no nothing? You being from Pennsylvania, you wouldn't believe how desolate. I can just imagine how those, they were called the 49ers. The explorers came through there. They're the ones that named Death Valley because when they left, they looked back over the range and they said, we're leaving Death Valley because it was tough.
Just a wasteland.
Yeah, wasteland.
How big is Death Valley? Is it?
Oh, it's like over 3 million acres.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That's nuts. And it's just all like desert. There's just
no, there's a mountain range. There's Patterson Mountain Range. So you've got these peaks like Telescope Peak that's 11,000 feet and Wild Rose Peak, and it could be 65 degrees up there, and you go down the valley, it can be 117.
Oh wow. Now is that a state park or is that a federal?
It's Death Valley federal.
It's
federal. Yeah.
Own land.
Yeah.
See.
Oh yeah.
Huh. That's so wild. I'd love to get out there and check that out. I'd love to do some exploring and traveling,
Well, put it in your cat because who knows? You could go out there and interview some of those old miners and have some stories that nobody's heard.
Yeah, that's wild. Do they live in the mines or do they?
They live outside. The one guy that I got a lot of information from, he lives in a shack basically, and not that far. And he goes, I think he goes and gets groceries once a month.
And just kind of off the land.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, and they don't have a lot of things.
Right.
As far as
I'll tell you what, the crazier the world gets, the more I'm leaning towards a lifestyle like that.
Doesn't that sound?
Like, yeah, like seriously, like, I think about it more and more. Like, I could just go live off the land the best I could. I'd work out the knots and kinks along the way, I'm sure, but it just
Yeah, you
becomes
can.
more of something, a desirable goal that I'd like to work towards, kind of, because the stress with just
I know.
the modern world is just it's wild, it's crazy,
If we have time, I have a story about um, what this one miner told me.
Absolutely, we have time. Yeah.
Okay, so I had heard that Charles Manson, Barker Ranch, was in the Panamas. Okay.
Mhm.
And I heard that it could be 8,000, 7,000. Nobody really was giving the specifics. So this man had a little, I guess you could call it a store, didn't have much. But I went by there and I think he had on bibbed overalls and not many teeth. Okay.
Yeah.
And so he is sitting on the porch and I asked him, I said, I'm looking for Barker Ranch. And he just went, yeah, like I'm not telling you.
Right.
And so I talked to him a little bit and I said, well, I moved not too far from here. Okay, so that helped. He said, where are you living? And I told him. I said, oh, I'm less than a half hour away. Well, he didn't tell me that time, but the second time I bought a Coke
Mhm.
from him and he told me how to get there. And man, I don't know how Charles Manson got a bus of people up this mountainside that is covered in large boulders because I have a 4-wheel drive Jeep.
Mhm.
And there was another one. They always say if you're going to someplace like that, go 2 people. And the other guy that has a Jeep, he has all the ropes and all the chains and everything that if we get stuck, he can, or
Right.
if you fall off the mountain, he can pull you back up. But we went up there and there was nothing. They've taken the park rangers have taken all everything that would tell you that it's up there because people were trying to get up there and they were breaking down and
So what's the
just
backstory on that location? It's
Charles Manson, when he had his group of followers,
mhm.
um he's the one that his group killed Sharon Tate in the Hollywood
Okay. Yeah.
stars and a director and stuff. Well, I think it was the wife. And he found this place and built this place in the Panamas. And unbelievable. So there's no way of knowing. And when we were there, we thought we were going to miss it. So because we got to the crest and
Yeah.
nothing, no buildings. And I looked over and I saw an oasis. In the desert, you can always look for anything green because everything is so stark and barren. And I said, well, wouldn't you think that it would be near water? And I'm thinking all that, there wasn't a lot, but there was some greenery.
Mhm.
And everybody agreed that was in the Jeeps. We went over there. We followed that and headed toward that rough road. Terrible. Wow.
No kidding.
Oh, my Jeep was like sideways. And lo and behold, Barker Ranch
Really?
was there.
No kidding.
And all the base, the foundation, the sides up to a certain amount is rock. The rest was wood and it had been burned. Now there's stories in the desert saying, oh, it was burned all right. It was burned by the park rangers. I don't think so. I think there's a real good chance that maybe lightning hit some of the trees around there and it caught on fire. But anyway, the stone structure is still there, but they're not
Oh.
announcing it because some people will risk their lives to go up there and have their picture taken by it.
Was it
And
like an old cult location, kind of like where the
yes,
okay.
yep.
Huh.
He had Helter Skelter is the name of the movie that was based on his life. But
Okay.
um,
Yeah, I've never
that,
seen it. I know who he is, but I don't know too much backstory about him. I didn't realize he had like a whole cult following,
oh yeah.
and really interesting.
Well, and I think this is another desert tale. I
I love
think
desert
there's,
tales. Yeah, yeah.
oh God.
I love
Well,
desert tales.
they say that there may be a cult following going up there now. See,
Huh.
that's why they tried to take all the signs of,
Well,
and
wouldn't the
if
park
you're,
rangers, they know where it's at? Why wouldn't they put a stop to it? Like if there
oh
was,
God, it's so hard to get to. I mean,
really.
oh, it took us all day and till about 11 o'clock at night to get up there and back. And we started early in the morning.
No kidding.
Oh,
Is it on a mountain? It's like, is it up? Really?
in the Panamint Range. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't even think, I know they do helicopters. They'll have helicopters go by ever so often.
Hmm.
But
But hey, you never know. You never know. That's what's fascinating. There's just so many tales and stories out there. You don't really know like what's going on, sometimes, and it's fun to kind of speculate. But that's super crazy that you guys made it up there and you guys explored it, and
and I took my picture just to make sure that I had that for I mean, I haven't published it or put it
right,
anywhere, but
right.
I took my picture because I wanted to have it.
Heck yeah,
And I wouldn't, that's where I found a lot of my trails is through the locals,
through old,
people that have lived there, that know the land, that can tell me places to go, because some of the trails are getting like a freeway now.
right. Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tourists and things like that. That Indian tribe that you spoke about in the Mojave Desert, or in the Death Valley there, did they have any good tales, or did they they speak
They
English?
have
And
they have some it's a very small tribe. I don't know how many, but I'd say around 60 maybe. There may be more than that. I don't know. But no,
they didn't want to share
no.
too much. Yeah, understandable. I mean, yeah, I get that.
But I'm going to tell you the place, because everybody's always saying, "What's your favorite place?" What?
Yeah, what is your
I go,
favorite place?
well, it's like asking you which child do you love the most,
Right, right, for sure.
and I was reluctant at first to say it because I don't want people to damage the earth like they do sometimes, but it's in the United States out of all the places I've been. And it's with the Supai people. It's a tribe that literally lives, no roads into it. You have to hike down and hike out, or I hear now that occasionally they'll have a helicopter bring supplies because of COVID down to them. And there's the Supai people, and Supai means people of the blue-green water. In
Hmm.
Kenny, that their waterfall 90-foot high.
No
Okay.
kidding. Holy smokes.
And it's almost like when I was in Canada and saw the icebergs that were melting. They have a certain color because of the organisms and everything that's living in that water.
Hmm.
I've never seen blue-green water in my life like that.
Why is that? Is it just
It's the organisms and the plants and the things that as it
the
melts,
environment?
yeah, its environment does the orchestrating of the color and the life in it. And so it's a 10-mile hike down, and
Wow,
mhm,
that's far. That's a lot.
mhm.
For when
It
you're
goes from 5,000, I think it's around 5,200. I could be off a couple of 100 feet, but 5,000 plus, and you go down to 2,000 plus.
Wow. So you went down there and you visited them down there, and
They'll let you stay. I waited 2 years.
really?
I asked for 2 years to have a permit to go down, and I got it after 2 years.
And it's an
And they,
Indian tribe down there? That's
yeah,
wow.
Supai. Yeah.
Really?
And the canyon's called Havasupai. So that gives you an idea of kind of where it is,
Mm-hmm.
way down in Arizona. Like if you just envision the Grand Canyon just moving down
Mm-hmm.
a ways, and they live down in that canyon.
Wow. And are they protected then? Or are they,
They are.
So
far.
right. For now. Right. That
And
must
I love it that you can't get down there by car. I love it.
yeah. Keeps out the mass tourists and people that want to monopolize and profit. And that whole culture down there had to have been just quite the experience, though. Kind of do they accept you in, very grateful, or was it kind of like you're an outsider? What was the vibe like with that? Was it
The vibe was like this. I think that they have given permits to some people
mm-hmm.
that I'd like to choke.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're very disrespectful, of their land, of their sacred land,
Right.
They are not as open because they've had some of those experiences.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And since COVID, they've been totally closed. So I don't know how they're surviving. I really don't. And they don't communicate very well. And I'm glad some of the people that were trying to get permits were going like, well, they never answered their phone and they're not answering my email. Well, honey, how many people are you going to?
Yeah.
Well, how many people are you going to invite in your house?
Right.
You want all these crazy ass people in your house.
Yeah.
So
probably don't even
I
have
don't
phones and computers.
They had cell phones. Some of them had cell phones, but that's not part of their culture, and they want to preserve it, and I'm all for it.
Oh,
so
heck yeah, me too. Absolutely. I love places like that. I guess there's still down like the Amazons. Isn't there still like tribes that live in the Amazons that like it's like a whole nother world, I guess. Like they see an airplane over there and they think it's a demon or something,
Yes. A spirit of some sort.
That to me is mind blowing that in today's modern world that there's still parts of the world that are like that. And I'm all for it. You know what I mean? I'm all for the traditional lifestyle living. But it's just totally mind blowing to me that there's tribes and things that have been around for thousands of years that are still just going about doing what they're doing,
Well, and I was in my Jeep, and before we got to the trailhead, there were 2 Native Americans that stopped my Jeep and said, because they give you how-tos, no alcohol,
mm-hmm.
no cigarettes, and they said, and I said, no, I don't have any. And they said, we want to search your vehicle. And I said, absolutely.
Really?
I mean, yeah, because I'm going to what they know and what they live every day.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I to think that I can take whatever I want?
Right. For sure.
Now that happened though, because when I got down there, hike 10 miles down, and then you got to hike like 2 or 3 other miles to get to the first waterfalls, and there's like 7 of them, is some people had alcohol at night. And I just thought, you know what?
Just disrespectful.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But I'm not sure how they're going to open up. And I mean, it's expensive to go down there and camp. They have so many campsites, and then they have a small little, it's not maybe like a little hotel lodge. But they haven't, no one got COVID down there.
Their immune systems are probably so strong from
That's
generations
it.
of living off the wealth, or living off the land. And their bodies can fight probably just about anything that's out there, you
That's
know.
it.
That, and you're a naturalist as well too, right?
Very
Um,
much so.
yeah, absolutely. So you know that, our bodies are best when they're consuming and functioning the way they're meant to be without artificial.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I had guinea pig when I was in Peru on the Machu Picchu Trail. This lady they have mud huts. They make mud out bricks, and no, they have a opening for a window, but they don't have window or window panes. But she had like a piece of cloth over it, and she offered me guinea pig, and I wasn't about to say no.
Right. Was it good? Did it taste like chicken?
No,
No.
everybody asks me that.
Did
I'd like to say yes, but I got to tell you, I told her I wasn't hungry. And I just said, un poquito. And she just gave me a small slice. It was dark meat, but they raise guinea pigs like we do chickens.
Right. I was gonna say, are they like in the wild out there, or are they just kind of
No, they raised them. I mean, they were in her house on the floor
really? No
in a
kidding.
little
No
pen.
kidding.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. That's their part of their protein.
Right. I would try it. I would definitely try some.
Oh yeah, you got to try it. But it was roasted over a fire. Okay, I think that was the best part. Is it had charred. I like burnt toast,
Mhm.
so cook it as much as you want.
So you've experienced a lot of different foods, and I'm sure just from being all over different countries, and that's so fascinating. Just like to be hiking up a trail, and like there's a little hut or something that there, the pit stop, take a break and kind of that's
Loveliest people you'll ever meet.
that is so cool. That is so cool. So what do you have planned for the future? Are you planning on going any places you haven't been to yet? Any parts of the world that you'd like to still see?
Well, 2020 was supposed to be Slovenia, and that's more civilized because I'm not. I like to go to third world countries more than I do
Mhm.
tourist traps. But because of COVID, I just finished 24 miles in the Valley of Fire, which is up north of Las Vegas. And I did only 6 miles a day, but I did it for 4 days.
Wow.
And it was, there's rock formation of the Aztec sandstones that just blow me away.
Wow.
But I'm going to wait until next year. I think I'm going to let the dust settle and kind of find some places. I heard of an island off of Finland on a
Finland's one
blog. I read it. Yeah.
Finland's one of those places I'd really like to check out, especially the forests of Finland. I'd love to just go explore the forests of Finland. I don't know why. I just feel like there's this mysteriousness about
Yes.
the forests of Finland. And
Yes.
I would love to do that someday. Absolutely. Yeah, that's on the top of the list. One of the ones on the top of the list for me to
Well,
see.
if I go there, I'm gonna get back in touch with you, and I'm gonna shoot you some photographs well, I know there's wildflowers there because there's a lot of moisture and just the soil is so rich. But yeah, I read that on the blog and I thought, you know what? I want to find some out of the way places. So I think that
Yeah.
that would be a out of the way place. And then maybe I'll write a second book. Who knows?
Heck yeah, you should. You totally should. Have you been to some places that you think haven't been discovered before? Have you found any places that you're pretty sure you're the first person that's ever set foot in there, or the first person in, like 1,000 years that's been to that location? Kind of, have you discovered anything like that on your trails?
No, I don't think so. I'd like to think I have.
Right.
And when I've been there, there haven't been people there. But boy, it's hard to find places now
Yeah,
that people haven't.
for sure.
You know, there's something about Americans. We just love things to death.
Hmm. I know.
That's what I call it.
Yeah.
I've been to some pretty remote places, very remote. But I think hunters, I mean, some guy there in the Southwest, you may not know this, but javelinas and sport hunting of javelinas in Arizona and in Southern California and New Mexico. And that, I mean, so I would think that I've been places where you don't drive to, you have to walk in, but I think other people probably been there before me.
Right. Yeah, you never know. I had to ask, you know what I mean? So,
Well, I can think that I am and hope that I am, but doubt it.
right. So real quick before we wrap up,
Yes,
could you just tell listeners where they can find you, where they can find your book, all
absolutely.
that good information?
My website is wildflowerinspirations.com. And I am going to launch that blog in June. I can sell the book. The book is for sale at wildflowerinspirations.com. On Instagram, because I'm building quite a following on Instagram, is Wildflower Explorer.
Okay.
And on Twitter, I'm at Wildflower Explorer.
All right. Excellent. And I'll make sure I put those in the description of the video for everybody too. So it was so much fun talking to you. I thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I really had
If you ever
fun.
get out this way.
Absolutely. I really hope to someday. I really hope to do some traveling, in the future. So
Get that vibration going.
heck yeah, yeah. You know it. You know it. All
Thanks
right.
so much.
Yep. All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and
Thank you very much.
we'll talk soon.
Yes, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.